Hi guys, how you guys doing? I decided to make a video regarding about D4 for my YouTube channel because of how I miss the one class for D2 was Amazon. Everyone's been making rogues, looks like having a lot of fun with melee build because seeing how overpowered it is. But myself, I like to make the Amazon back in the days of D2, how Boazon was and Javazon was amazing as a range. So I decided to make a video and a guide for this Amazon build that I just did recently. So let's get into it. Um, so for my Amazon right now, she is basically level 25. This is how she looks like. I just did a little simple transmog on her. Overall, she looks pretty good, I must say. The bow and design, the swords design, everything looks pretty clean. Some of the transmogs of the weapons is amazing. If you have different types of legendary, you can actually salvage it and it'll become in your inventory, or else you have to be using the default look. But yeah, as you can see, I have other weapons here that I can equip to show you different types of designs. This design is pretty nice as well. But this is the current bow I'm using. I'm pretty sure this is the same. Yes, that's the same as well. I have a few different ones as well. I think there's another bow design right here. Overall, it looks pretty clean. It's pretty nice. Design, it's really unique. Too bad I couldn't find the wind force. I did find also a Bariza. This is how Bariza looks like for D4, which is pretty cool. Same design, like same ballista design looks like compared to D2 and D3 as well. Then that should be it. Yep, that is all the weapon designs I currently have. Hopefully we will be able to find more later and do more. So my Amazon is pretty much built out as a penetration shot, which is the core, and then basically forceful shot is just a pushback arrow and a generator for your energy, and also it also gives you vulnerability on your third shot, which is pretty nice. Vulnerability increases basically 20% of your damage overall, so it will help you increase your damage DPS wise. So this is what my skill tree looks like. I went forceful arrow into forceful arrow every third class to increase critical chance, which is a pretty big deal, especially right now. Crit is really hard to get in the stats, so having any extra crit chance would be pretty nice to have. And then there it is, also pierces through vulnerability on enemies. Both of these is pretty not bad. This one's just basically knockdown, stun, etc. CC basically, but this one just pushes through. I like the pushes through because it would just give more vulnerable shots. Because every third hit, right? So every third hit, if the person in front is vulnerable, it pierces through and vulnerable him as well. But you have other skills you can cast to get more vulnerability on the NPCs to take more damage. So the other thing is that my core shot is my core damage. My main damage is called penetration shot. So penetration shot, it basically will shoot through the target, pierces through anything beyond and forth. So in a line, basically, it will. It just hits like a truck. Especially once you unlock the specialization for rogues, you will get a combo point system, or you can run inner sight. But for me, I like to hit hard and see big numbers, so combo points was the main thing I went for. I tried it inner sight, but it's not that great for penetration shot because it technically needs to wind up and to do a lot of damage. And basically, combo points, it increases the amount of damage it does to it. So if we look over here, as you can see, the combo point system right there, it increases damage. It increases damage based on how many points you have. If you have 3 points, you can see it goes up to 213% damage, which is pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. When you see the numbers it hits, it's amazing. That's why I like to use this ability. I did try other abilities, which is Barrage as well. It's okay. It's not too bad. It's a shotgun ability. But what I'm enjoying the most is Penetration Shot. So a Penetration Shot is it just fires on line, and then the modifiers are Penetration Shot increases 20% per damage it pierces. And then we also have the Improved Penetration Shot that has a 20% increased critical chance if you penetrate at least 3 enemies, which is a lot of times you do, unless it's a single boss fight. Even a single boss fight, you will have a lot of mobs here and there, so it's pretty good to have. And then from down here on forward, we have the agility skills, which is the shadow step, caltrops, dash, and just extra weapon mastery and stuff. But for me and for my build personally, I didn't get any of these ability except for looking for caltrops and also dash as mobility only, and this is just for slowing any mobs or anything to trigger crowd control effects on weapon modifiers to increase my damage. So as you can see, my build right here, just 3 out of 3 weapon mastery, just for more pure damage and more crit. Because I'm using a bow, so 12% chance, or no, sorry, 12% damage for vulnerable enemies. Then that's just gonna make my penetration hit even more harder. And then the dash and caltrops is what I have on my items. As you can see, this is a +1 blue on it, so basically it's from my item contribution right there. As you can see, dash, I had to put one in now because one of my items I replaced recently does not have dash anymore. So if you can get dash on one of the items is really good, so you don't have to waste any points into any mobility skills. Then you can actually increase your damage overall instead, which into like little side nodes which can increase your power. And then what we have down here is subterfuge skills. As you can see, I have nothing here. It's not really needed. None of these. It's just more survivability. DPS is not so much. Besides poison trap, but poison trap, then you have to go look for poison modifiers, which is not that great. And then for me right here, I have right here is just 18% increased damage to healthy and injured to enemies, which meaning that you can start strong with your first shot, and then even if they don't die in the first couple of shots, they'll be so low they'll be considered injured status. Then you can basically just finish them off with a second shot. As you can see, I got 3 out of 3 here. And then we go all the way down here, which is imbuements. Imbuement, you definitely want to, it really depends on what kind of main focus you want. I feel like right now, penetration shot is really strong for ST, singles target. But so you need a little bit of AoE, meaning that shadow imbuement, when you hit the target, you give them a debuff which causes explosion when they die. And it also explode or has a little bit AoE damage initial shot. So it's not bad to have this to just help your AoE clear a little bit. As you can see, I have a rank 1 right here. And then if you want to focus purely on DPSing on like single target, then you will use poison instead, because poison is just a dot effect after you hit the target. But having this to clear AoE, as you can see, you'll see later that when I show you my build and my design, then you'll see how much this comes into play. It's a pretty big deal overall with the damage. And then also you see as it increases critical strike chance if there's a low HP, and then also increases more damage overall by me if they get the debuff. So it's pretty nice overall to have this. And then also I have this as another thing, increased critical chance. As level 25, stats crit chance is really hard to come by. Stats to boost crit chance is really hard to get, which is it becomes int. Yeah, I don't know why they put it as int for the crit chance. But overall, you can get a lot of the crit chance from the skill tree. As you can see, my base is only 6.9, but all those abilities and HP effects and everything makes my crit pretty high overall. I feel like it's around like 30-40%, which is pretty decent to proc off the crit for now as a level 25 user, right? So there's that, and then we will continue on with the skill tree. We will, as right here I explain movement. Now we'll go to the ultimate. The ultimate, I've been playing around with it. The shadow clone is probably best for the single target, It's also pretty much helps clears a lot and help with a lot of like CCs, and because it basically duplicates whatever your action is. So basically, if you do dashes, it'll dash, and then it'll do, if you do traps, it'll do traps. If you do penetration shot, it'll do penetration shot. It's just a good overall DPS increase, I find it. So I've been using it and without having to worry about too much. The arrow rain of arrow is actually really nice too if you think you're lacking of AoE clear, but I believe you don't need it. For myself, where I'm at right now, the AoE is actually pretty nice. The side mobs dies super easily. They usually don't have that much health. There's a lot of problems with the elites or the main boss, but they're not too big of a deal too. That's why I went with this. Even when there's a lot of little mobs, the shadow clone will cast penetration shots, so it's just piercing through more enemies as well, and then it will just explode from there. So if you, they're both pretty good to have. I feel like I tried the Jeff Trap, but it's okay. It's not that great until when there's more stuff that's concentrated. Maybe like later on there's more maps or rifts or whatever. Maybe like D3, if there's greater rifts and stuff, then more maps will be like concentrated. Then you can actually use this overall instead. Because right now the maps are not that concentrated. You use it just everything dies already. So there's no point of like gathering all up and then exploding them. Later, I can see it being really nice because of this. Enemies pull into Death Trap when it activates. So basically, it sucks everything in. And then once it sucks everything in, you can just use one penetration shot. Boom. Boom. And they're all dead. They're all very viable, I'll say. You can, there's nothing wrong here you can pick. Or you can not even pick any of these. Then you can just get maybe some more DPS nodes up here. That like pretty much like this. You can get another 9% here, etc, etc. Overall, I'd like to have like the ultimate. It's just fun to play with. So right now my stats is actually this. Pretty much not that high item level base compared to my wizard, but overall I'm pretty happy with the gear. I didn't really min max him that much compared to my wizard. He's upgraded here and there on all the pieces of the gear, but the legendary effects wise, I still haven't gotten like majority of the good ones that I know of, because a lot of them right now I have is more of a defensive ability, looks like, except for probably a few of the ones that is key to this build. This one, the helmet is okay, doesn't really affect me too much. This is just more a defensive legendary affix. This one, this is the imprinted. As you can see, this is imprinted, meaning that I took it from another equipment and I placed it into this equipment because it has a better stat or higher item power. As you can see right there, it has +2 ranks of penetration shot. Because I upgraded the item power, it increases the rank at the legendary Blackfist Sword. So depending on the breakpoints of the item power, it usually can increases the ranks of your skills by 2. If you, so as you said, there +15 here, and it was rank 1 before, now it's rank 2 penetration shot. Because if you're using a certain ability, you definitely want to have that ability skill up to increase the modifier of the ability to do more damage. So I got lucky on this. I got +1 rank and I upgraded to, now it's +2. It also has attack speed and dexterity. And then basically the imprint you see there is up to 30% when I'm standing still, 6.5% damage. This helps you increase your damage a lot while you're standing still. And a lot of times, as if you're doing penetration shot, yeah, you can stand decent amount of times. But worst come to worst, if you have the bubble, which is Vigo's amulet, if you're getting hit, you get 10 in a bubble, and then it just increases your damage as well overall without having taken damage because of the immunity bubble. So having this effect is pretty nice. I love it. It increases quite a bit of damage, and then as you can see, it can go up to 10%. I only got to 6.5, but it's still pretty nice damage boost. It increases your attack power quite a bit. And then this one is just a lucky hit. Also, it's just that more defensive skill. And then this one also same thing, their defensive skill. It doesn't really matter too much. Of course, if you can get better ones, you could. This one is probably one of the biggest one to break this build, is because it has the penetration shot. So this legendary effect has Penetration shot damage an enemy 2 additional splits off to either side. These sides 0 do 80% of penetration base damage. I got the highest roll on this, which is amazing. It's so basically a penetration to your first target or whoever's behind it. It will split 2 more arrows outside from the left and right of them. So it basically makes a little plus sign, kind of plus. Yeah, basically technically makes a plus sign because when you're shooting it, it makes a line, and then it pierces, and then it makes a left and right. So it makes a left and right arrow beside it. You'll see it once I show you the ability itself. But yeah, this helps with the AOE quite a bit. If you don't have this, the single target, you will just have the straight line penetrating through, meaning that if you're just an enemy standing on the left and the right of them, you won't take damage. Also, I find that if the enemies are really close to each other, overlapping, it actually will. I feel like it actually hits them twice, meaning that the penetration goes through, hits the first target. If the target's behind them, it will hit him as well. But also the split arrows hits him because it's splitting from the where it's impacting to the left and right of him. So I think it's hitting the penetration original shot, and also when it splits, it's hitting him, like it's clipping him on the side as well. So sometimes I see double numbers, and then it's just basically it's just a lot of AOE. This helps your aerial killer a lot easier. And as explained over here, it's just the bubble immunity. It's nice to have with this and the standing still legendary. I feel like these two sync really well together, making, if you stand in the bubble, this is just increasing your damage while you're standing still, which is increasing your DPS quite a bit. So having this bubble with that is pretty nice, unless you find a better effect, of course. But so far I've got only use from the bubble and that. And then this one, I find it for Amazons, you definitely want this ability or the legendary affix is dealing direct damage to enemies affect your traps. Oh no, sorry, not this one. This was the trap skill. This is really useful too. So as I mentioned earlier, I took caltrops. So if you use caltrops on your ability, I have it on one of my gear, I believe it's right here. It says press rank 1 to caltrops. So meaning that I don't have to spend skill point into this. I can spend it on to more damage modification nodes instead to increase the damage. So now I don't have to waste a point on that, but I also still have caltrops, which to proc this, which is lucky hit dealing direct damage to the enemies affected by your trap skills, has up to 48% to make them vulnerable, meaning that when I use my traps, they get hit, 50% chance they get vulnerable. Vulnerable, increases them take 20% more damage, which is pretty nice. It'll just increase DPS overall. This is not really needed because you do have other ways to get vulnerable, but this is probably one of the biggest way to get vulnerable as an AoE wise, because when you throw the caltrops, it's actually a big spread on the ground with those spikes on the ground, so it hits a lot more single target compared to your little left click. Or yeah, your left click is your only other way to get vulnerable, or unless of course you do party mode, other people can vulnerable it for you. But for single player, usually your left click, which is your just force shot, will get vulnerable, or this. So this is pretty important to have just to increase DPS overall. And then this is the big one that I need to mention. So this is, as you can see, it's imprinted. So meaning that I took it from another equipment, I shoved it into this because it was just a better ring or better equipment. So this one is lucky hit. Your marksman skills have up to 10% to create an arrow storm at the enemy's location, dealing X amount of damage. As you can see, it's the lowest roll I have, even though it doesn't really make sense because it says 492 there. But on the bottom, it says 497 is the minimum. For some reason I got lower than higher than the minimum. Okay, so I have no clue why. So it does 49 to 492 physical damage over 3 seconds. You can have up to 5 arrow storms. 5. That's a key thing. So when you're using penetration shot, it goes to each target. Every target you hit, it's a chance to proc this. Meaning every time you proc this, it's an extra 500 damage extra, which is a pretty big deal, and it's actually a pretty big AoE range. It does increase quite a bit of DPS if you can multi-proc. As far as even single targets, when you're left clicking, just spamming left clicking, because you have a lot of attack speed, etc. then it would just proc and it would just give you these aerostorms just coming down and just helping you more area clear or even just more single target DPS, because it's just an effect you'll just see on the ground. You'll see it once I go into a dungeon or something to show you it. And then I showed you the penetration shot. So basically how Diablo 4 works right now is that you can equip 2 single hand weapons, and then you can also equip a bow. So as even an Amazon, that your main focus is, I have 0 melee abilities besides dash, but you can use these as a stat stick, because my majority of my abilities are bow use, but these effects actually changes your stats. So you use it as a stat stick. So you just want to look for more DPS to increase your core abilities, your range ability, your crit, your stats, and etc. And also because of the legendary effect is pretty nice to have. You basically have 2 legendary effects for free, and then 2 free stat stick, which is pretty nice. Because before, like, you have to be active using the weapon itself, kind of like any other game, or even just like if you're not using the example set weapon set A, you only get your weapon set A affixes and stats, and then once you use if you pull your weapon B, then your weapon B will be active. But this is different. This immediately will affect your damage because it goes into your stats right immediately you equip it, not based on what equipment or what you're using. So you can use it as a stat stick and use for the legendary affixes, which is pretty neat. It increases your DPS quite a bit, and also can make your build more interesting later on. So this one is just when you break stealth. It doesn't really do anything for me. I'm just using it as a pure stat stick because the stats is pretty amazing on this weapon, and I can't find any other legendary to put into this right now to make it even a better build. But this second one is a big deal, hit or break for this build as well, to just having that legendary affix of basic skills gain attack speed, meaning that your left click is shooting faster, more vulnerability targets, more energy gain. So meaning that you can actually use more that's mean you can actually do more penetration shot every time you left click faster and more hits. So this is pretty important to have. I say the max is 33%. I only wrote it 28%. It's hard. It's a pretty universal ability. As you can see, there's no legendary affix because it doesn't say a class specific. So any class can get this. If you get it for a drop for like a wizard or anything, you can transfer it over, put it in your stash, etc. Because any class can get this legendary affix. So it's not that hard to get overall, I'll say. I did come up to 2 of them already. So that's all the stats and my tree. So we can get into a little bit of preview of my build. We will just go do a dungeon really quick so you can take a look at how this build works out. It works out pretty nice overall. It's pretty good. I find it single target, multi-target, boss fights, even during the world boss, I shredded him with this build because it just hits like a truck. And then it's amazing how I decided to try to come making a Amazon build in D4, because this class is like a representing of a rogue and Amazon, because you can use the dagger, swords, or bow. As you can see, there's some melee abilities that you can do is melee, right? And then melee is so really strong. But for I missed the 2 days that making Amazon. I played a lot of Amazon back in the day in hardcore, and then missing using Windforce, missing using Brizza, missing Javazon, so all the ranged abilities. So basically, I decided to make this build, or try out making a build for a ranged rogue, meaning Amazon. So I finally got this to work out pretty well. So here we go. I'll show you how this plays out. overall, it's pretty nice. As you can see, this is the arrow storm right there. It just does damage over time. It just like you don't have to use any special abilities because it's just a lucky hit. It's just a proc, meaning that I can just left click to proc it. But it's only a 10% chance. It's just an extra thing that, like, if it procs, it's nice. It's extra 500 damage. Also, it procs off anything. It's not just your left click. It procs off anything, meaning that it can be right click, it can be left click, it can be your traps. Because it's just when the stat says lucky hit, meaning it's just a chance on hit. So if it's a chance on hit. If it hit, you get a proc. It's just an extra proc, which is pretty nice. So now next we will use like the trap. As I mentioned before, you use this. It causes vulnerability, 50% chance. Put them in the stat. That is also includes it helps your slow as well, helping them slow without moving too fast to you because you're your range, right? Technically, you don't want them to be close to you, so you just want to slow them down. And then also your dash ability is for your mobility in case you get stuck or in case you need to get out of emergency times so you don't die. It helps. That's for your main mobility. Of course, your space bar, you get a dash. That's like quite a bit of mobility you have already. Worst come to worst, you also have your traps to just move back and jump away like that. That's also pretty good. So this class itself has really fast mobility. With these two ability and your space already, you can dash away, you can space. As you can see, the cooldown is pretty fast, so you can get to one place to another pretty fast overall. And then now I'll show you guys how to use the imbuement of shadow. That helps the AoE clear. So what you want to do is that you want to get this is your combo point system right here. You gotta make sure you get your 3 combo points, and you pop imbuement, and then you right click. Right click is your penetration shot, meaning that you put your imbuement into your penetration shot to spread that debuff on the target. So when you have your combo point, you get 3, and then you just right click. That's all you do. So you 1, 2, 3, right click. As you can see, it did 2.7k there, and that's without no, it had vulnerable, but also I don't think it. No, it was crit too. So, and there's also like a lot of effects that you can have to increase the damage. Meaning, as you look at this weapon that I have, my base weapon has a 13.8% damage to distant enemies. Also, the affix down there has a damage to distant enemy, meaning that I have a 29.7%. Or sorry, 28.7%. Of distance to enemies, meaning that the further away they would take if they're 15 yards further, they take that extra damage percent. Of course, I have more modifications over there, but he was considered pretty close already, so I don't think that modifier kicked in. So best way is to actually dash away or slow them so you get the modifier up. So meaning you would just shoot, you would dash like that. You'll do that. As you can see, everything is melted. Aerostorm procs, because this actually is considered just every single hit you do to the target is a chance to proc the Aerostorm. I seen my Aerostorm proc all 5 of them at once because my penetration shot, which just pierces through multiple enemies. Also, when it spreads to the left and right, it hits more enemies or more hit chance. So meaning that it just procs like crazy. So what you want to do is just usually you want to slow hit, right click, bam, like that. You just want to get away from them, get vulnerable, and then you right click. That's all you do. Get your combo point, back up, dash, shoot. That's all you want to do. And then you get your, that was a 3.5k right there. That's a 4k right there. It's a little bit off screen, so it's hard for you to see, but I can see the numbers. It's because I noticed where I'm shooting. I'm really looking at it. But as you can see, penetration shot, it was supposed to be a single line. But having this modifier of this bow, whenever penetration pierces through, it has a split. So meaning that it just splits left and right, exploding. That's 2 arrow storms right there. So it's just overall this class, this build is pretty strong, I must say. It's hitting for close to 5k penetration shot, 2k close range, 5k far range. And it just basically wipes out every single target, or even AoE clear, which is pretty nice. So the darkness, you can see how if they're glowing purple, meaning they have a debuff of shadow imprint. When they die, they explode. But overall, it's pretty nice. I'm enjoying this build a lot. I'm having a lot of fun. Everyone's been pretty much going with rogue build as melee because of a lot of the abilities are pretty strong for single target, and AoE is not too bad. But I miss Amazon, so I decided to make a Amazon, as much close Amazon build as I can, and kind of OP. And so far, this is the build I found the most OP right now. So it's pretty nice to have. This is a good build to keep in mind when the Diablo 4 actually launches. Then you can try out this build if you like it. Great. I'm going to be starting out with this build. Of course, if you find different legendaries, it's going to change your different builds around based on your affixes you have. But this will probably be my core build when once I get all my pieces together. Because AoE is strong, single target is really strong. It's pretty fun. It's really easy to do or to play as well. All you gotta do is just count 1, 2, 3, and then you just right click. That's all you do. See? Pretty simple, right? 1, 2, 3, right click. Make sure to get vulnerable, and then you just dash away. See, that's a 4K crit right there in one hit. At a level 25. So I can't wait to take this to the next level when we get the full game release and then for endgame build. Overall, this build is pretty amazing. I find it. It's pretty fun. It's pretty simple. It's pretty easy. A lot of mobility. You can dash away. You can trap. As you can see, you can use that as a mobility as well. And then the shadow clone, as I mentioned before, whatever you do is doing as well. You see how it's shooting there as well. If you have shadow imbuement, your clone will also have shadow imbuement. That's a huge thing, meaning that when it kills stuff, or even he doesn't kill stuff, he'll put a debuff on the target, and then you can actually kill the target and cause an explosion. So when you cause that explosion, you just deal AoE damage, helping for the AoE clear, which is pretty nice. Overall, this build is pretty fun. I'm enjoying the hell out of it. It's fun. It brings me the D2 vibes again of Amazon, which is really fun, really nice to do. I can't wait to hopefully find a win force or anything like that, and like to make this build even more better. But we're limited in time. But overall, it's good. If you like this video, if you like this build, tell me all about it. If you tried out this build, if you have anything better ideas to help me improve this build, leave a like or leave a comment below, and then I'll get back to you. But yo guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys later in the next playtest and future launch. Peace.